Hi, this is Sarah, the Stitchin Mommy, and it's Monday, June 3rd, so we are officially out of Mania and into June, and I'm actually really excited about that. I enjoyed Stitch Mania, I enjoyed doing my large stitching shelf piece for 19 days, and I enjoyed working on my Mirabilias, but I'm really excited to get back to regular stitching, I guess, where I have my family pieces I'm working on regularly, so it's nice to get back to those. And I slotted in larger chunks for some other pieces that I haven't worked on in a really long time, and that's something I'm looking forward to as well. Because of that, I was considering doing Arbitrary August like I did last year, which was doing a different whip every month, pulling randomly every day, and that concept kind of blew up all over the stitching world last year, and I wasn't sure I wanted to do it again, and then I thought, well, yeah, that could be fun to do it again, because then I could see a few things that I haven't worked on yet this year. But coming into June and having these larger chunks of time, I'm thinking I might adjust our August to look a lot like that, where I have 3 to 5 day chunks on projects rather than 1 day, and I could still draw them randomly, but give them more time. And I think that might be a nicer way to go, because it feels like when I have 1 or 2 days on something, I feel more not really stressed, but I feel like I have to work on it, or my plans have failed, and and it's just stitching. It's supposed to be fun, and if I don't get to something on a certain day, it's okay. Life is more important than stitching, and I know we have to keep reminding ourselves of that. And so it's having more days allotted to something will make it so that if I do get time to stitch on it, I make more progress, and if I have some time that I can't, then I still make some progress, at least on the days that I did have time. So I think I might do that. I'm still kind of working through that. I've still got a couple months to figure it out. Meanwhile, I will show you what I've done this past week, and a few other things, and what I'm going to do this coming week. So first I will show you my color and cotton threads. That's my one thing I got this. They're pretty. This is the all colors pack. Very gorgeous. And these two on the side that are like gray blue look similar, but this one is darker, and I could see that maybe coordinating nicely in a project. So this one is gunmetal, and all of these, as always, have like a nice subtle tonal variation to it that makes it worth having a hand-dyed and not just a hand-dyed solid, which I think is a little bit pointless because you could just use TMC. This is Dusty Blue, which is, all of these are a little bit washed out, but Dusty Blue is very pretty as well. I don't know. It'll be fine. And then this is Peruvian Butterfly, which is really pretty. A light tealy seafoamy blue. This is Seahorse, which is interesting. It's a nice yellowy green color. That's fun. It's a little bit greener in person, but that's pretty. And then this is Rosebud. Very nice. It's a little bit more muted in person than it's showing up there, but it's really pretty. So those are really nice. And I had a chance to bobbinate them last night while we were watching Deadliest Catch, but I wanted to show you what they look like in their, flowing state. So I went ahead and just worked on my temperature quilt last night instead during the show, so I could show these to you. So they'll get bobbinated next time I get a chance like that. We might stop watching Deadliest Catch after this season, just because we've been watching it since the very beginning, and it's getting a little bit more staged every year. It gets more and more produced, I guess. And so we're kind of at the end of our interest level, so we'll probably finish this season out. But there's things like American Ninja Warrior and BattleBots, which we watch with our children in the evening when they're on, and they actually both are starting up here soon. Actually, Ninja Warrior just started a few weeks ago. We haven't watched any of them yet, and BattleBot starts on Friday. So those are both shows our kids enjoy to watch with us, so we watch them as a family whenever we, make time for that. So that's this bobbinating and doing my quilt and different travel stitching. That's kind of stuff that I could do during those shows as well. So even if we stop watching Deadliest Catch, I'll still get a chance to do my bobbinating regularly, at least throughout the summer. So what I worked on this past week were my last two Miras for Mirabilia Mania. This is Villa Mirabilia. She's a large lady on a fat half of fabric, and she's mostly stitching. There's a few beads in her. Nothing else outrageous, but she is large. I scheduled 2 days on her, and I only think I got one, just because I didn't get any time on Wednesday, I don't think, to stitch. So this is what she looked like last time. And here she is now. I'll hold her back here to see all her beautifulness. But there's not a whole lot of difference. I worked up here. That lighter green is all I did. I picked this next color in the bush just to make it easy to see the symbol, and it'll outline all the way down here, and then there was another color in here too that will be next to it, so maybe two. And I was hoping it could be fun to finish this color out all the way to the bottom, but I just didn't end up having a lot of time, so I will work on that when I work on it. But that was fun to get out again, and I do love this. I think I want to focus on this a little bit more when I get a chance, but I do not have it planned for anything necessarily coming up. Maybe in July. When I went through my whips to pick things for June, I picked things that either had already been calling to me, or when I looked through my list, I figured, oh, that'd be fun, let's do that. And I have another one I'm thinking about that I want to do, so I'll probably plug that into July, and maybe this one, because this one is kind of calling to me too, to get that bush, get some significant progress on that bush. So maybe I'll give that like 4 or 5 days in July. I should write that down so that I remember to do. I want to work on Villa Mirabilia. Oh, I already put that in here. And Cherry Kitten is the other one I want to do. So. Alright. So my last Mira alphabetically is Winter Queen. And she will be the third, or technically fourth, seasonal queen. I have 5 because I have Christmas also. And I finished spring and autumn and Christmas, royal holiday, and so I need winter and summer. So here's winter, and I worked on her for 2 days. I thought for sure I would get a lot more of her hair done. But when I started working on her, I realized she's huge. Her head is huge. Compared to other Mirabilias. These queens are a larger scale, they're like zoomed in more. So her head is quite a bit larger than a lot of the other ladies that I've been doing. So I didn't even finish one color on her, even though I worked on her for 2 days. And it wasn't like a lot of time on 2 days, but so whatever. This is what she looked like last time. And here she is now. And I picked the next darkest color. So now there are 3 colors in her hair. There was a really light pale yellow, then this medium yellow, and now I'm doing this darker tan color. So that's all I got to. There's a lot more of that color to go, in here. And then there's, I think, 2 or 3 more hair colors, plus the beads and stuff for her. This is where her crown will go, and the crown goes higher up, but I think it's mostly beads. Maybe some cryonic too, I'm not really sure. I haven't looked that closely. I received a comment recently. I'm so far behind in commenting, I'm really sorry. I went back through today. I'm going to try really hard this next week to get caught up on those. I love all your comments, and especially when someone has a question, I really want to answer it right away, and I have been horrible at going in there to do it. So I'm really sorry. But I will try to be better about staying on top of those. Somebody commented just recently, I think just today or yesterday, that she had a Mira and she was kind of intimidated to start it, and saw how I was working on mine, and it encouraged her to just kind of take a deep breath and go for it. And I hope that will encourage you. Miras aren't really that difficult, especially some of the older ones. There's no fancy floss. Some of the newer ones have fancy floss. There's water lilies in some of the newer ones. I don't think I've done any of them so far that have water lilies. I own at least one now that does, but I haven't started it. So usually the only differences between them and another pattern is beads and sometimes metallic thread. And so you can save that till the end if it scares you, and just kind of, get to the stitching. And they're larger blocks of color for the most part, and so they're just large. So if you just kind of start in the middle, start in the top, wherever is comfortable for you, and just one stitch at a time, and it'll come together, and they will be spectacular when done, and you'll be so impressed with yourself that you finished something like that. And you can do them on linen, even weave, Aida. They'll look beautiful no matter what you stitch it on. So enjoy your Miras, because there's a lot of them to choose from. There's something for everybody. And that's Winter Queen. So hopefully I can finish her head at some point. That'd be nice to maybe do this year. Finish her head. And then we got into June. And so I started back up on my family stitching, and that meant I worked one day on my husband's piece, which is The Simpsons, which I got this pattern on eBay from a seller that's no longer selling, and I've converted it into my own charting software to make it easier to read the pattern, but it is still their design, and this is what that looked like last time, and here it is now. This is 40 count Vertical even weave. I'm doing it 1/1 half stitches, and I finished the string that was on my needle right in here to finish more of his arm, and then I got a lot of this outline over here is black, but I picked up some navy because that was the best color over here to do consistently. So I picked up a navy strand and I took that all the way around Marge's hair and then back through her face is wherever that appeared. So you can see her outline. So next time when I bring this out, I might come back up here and start filling in her hair. What I like about this piece is it's got a lot of solid colors. So even though it's technically a full coverage, I'm not stitching the white background. I'm not stitching the white center of the circle. And all of the patches, because it's a cartoon, all of these patches of color are solid. So the only confetti bits are in the outlines. So it's pretty reasonable. And so that's the width of the pattern pretty much. And see, this is a ruler, 6-inch ruler. So it's pretty tiny, 1/1 on 40 count. So it's really fun. I love this even weave. It's very nice for a full coverage design like this. So that's coming along. This is all like the top row of pages. So I'll probably fill in more of this top row before moving down. And she's got a lot of hair. So that's why I'll probably just start in on that hair, because that's the uppermost point of the pattern. So he still doesn't know I'm working on it. I was able to keep it a secret. So woohoo! We'll see how long that lasts. And then yesterday I was able to do a little bit on my son's piece, Touchdown, which is my conversion. I'm doing Denver Broncos and Oakland Raiders. John Elway, because this was already charted as a 7, and that was John Elway's number. And then I changed his number to be 24 for Charles Whitson, who was a defenseman on the Oakland Raiders when John Elway played. So I've made my own conversion for this one. So this is what that looked like before. And here it is now. So I just did a few strands of white filled in over here a little bit, and then I came over here and filled in some over here. and then I came and started another string over here, but didn't get very far. So I'm wanting to fill in all of the white on this jersey, and then I'll go back through and fill in the other, I think there's 2 more like accent colors, but since they're all very similar in color, you can see in his hand here, there's like 2 or 3 really light grays that make some shading. And so I'd rather just fill in all the white and then go back through to make sure I don't miscount and stuff. So there's a lot of it, and I don't know, it didn't seem like that took quite as long as this white. Maybe it's just white. White is evil in cross stitching. But anyways, it's going well, so I'm happy with that. Again, not a ton of time, but it's coming along. So then I have my travel stitching that I've been working on. And this, let's see, I guess I'll do this first. This is my main travel piece that I've been working on, Midsummer Roses. And I told you I doubted I'd be able to get this done in May because I finally got to the back stitching and I only had 4 days last week. Or so I thought. Turns out I had a little over 2 days in the valet line because of after school, or not after school, but school programs that were during the valet time when I would normally be waiting. I was doing stuff at school. So I didn't even have 4 days. I had 2. And this is still got a ways to go. So we'll see. We'll see. I originally thought maybe I'll finish it in April, and then no, that's not going to happen. Maybe I'll finish it in May. No, it didn't happen. So I hesitate to say maybe I'll finish it in June, but you know what? I really want to finish this. So you know what? Even if I don't finish it before school lets out, I'm going to keep working on this as travel stitching, and if we take trips or longer drives places, you know, it's possible it could definitely get done in June. So I'll keep plugging away as a travel piece, and I'm hoping I can finish it before the end of June, because that's when Ginger Gerald's large finish competition ends. He actually already finished Henry, so head over to one of his, I think, first birthday Palooza video. He revealed Henry, but he has previously stated he's going to leave the competition open until June 30th. So it's a fixed end, because he finished a lot sooner than I think he had originally expected. So good for him, bad for me. I was hoping to finish this piece. I've already submitted Adventure Awaits back whenever I finished that. I don't remember what month that was, because that counted for the size qualifications. But this piece counts too, and this piece is I really want it done. So I'm hoping to finish this before the end of June for my own sanity, and also I can enter in that competition. So this is what that looked like last time. And here it is now. And not a lot. I did this one little bit here of light brown, and then I started backstitching all of these guys in here. So you can see that. Yeah, I think these guys weren't backstitched before. So there's all of these leaves that I did on just a couple days. So that's not too bad. So we'll see how it goes this coming week. We'll see how much I can get done. If I can get the leaves done, maybe that'd be good. I'm not sure how long it's going to take with all the different colors of backstitching. So we'll see. It's still enjoyable. I just keep setting goals for myself that I can't finish, can't meet, but that's all right. Because of some of the year-end activities, there was a play one day and a concert another day, and different things that I had to wait around while things were starting. So I was able to work a little bit on my Little House Needleworks November, because that's one that when that Midsummer Roses is too big to take, I just want to grab something and go, I'll take this. And so I did have a couple times this week to work on it. Not a whole lot, but this is what it looked like last time you saw it, and now here it is now. So all I was working on is this little squirrel, and he looks a little funny. I didn't want his the variegation in the floss to run through to his tail, because I wanted his tail to have its own set of variegation striping to like match itself. And so I'm just doing his body, and then I'll go back to the top and work his tail down. So that's kind of my plan. And this looks a little funny, but he'll be holding like an acorn or something, so I think it'll look fine once he's all the way done. So there's that. Still working on that, and I had somebody ask about the rest of these that I've finished. I finished all of them except for these two, and I had somebody ask about the Snowflower Diaries as well. These, so I thought I would show all of those here just for fun, for kicks and giggles. So this is my June that I just put in here this morning. This is a 5x5 frame that I found at Michael's with a mat, I think 4x4 mat, I believe. And these are all done on 28 count Dove Gray Monaco, 1/1 full crosses with the called for threads. And I love this bowl of cherries. It's very fun. I did all the cherries like variegation. I stitched them in a circle, so the variegation would be circle-y. And I thought that turned out pretty cute. So I keep this in another room usually, so that's why it's not usually out here. And then here are the rest of them that I've finished. I have July, which will be next, and August, and September. Each set of 2 has a different color palette of threads that comes with it. This is October, and I did all of the called for threads, so these are all on Dove Gray Monaco. And then I don't have November and December done. This is January. I had finished it with a backing fabric and had it on a little easel, and I wasn't happy with it, so I didn't do any of the other ones like this. And then I found that frame and I thought, oh, that's way better. So I need to unpick this and flatten it out, and I might have to make like a temporary additional mat to go around it, because now I've cut off a lot of the seam allowance on the outside. I think it's a little bit too small to go in that frame now, with cutting off the edges after I sewed it. So this is January, and I'll probably have to fix it before it goes in there. I'm not stitching it again. And here's February. I had this pinned to do that one too, and then decided, nah, I'm not 100% sold on the idea, so I recently unpinned that. That's February. And then March and April. And the last one that I just took out today was May. And this is the first one I had in my frame. Originally, I'd cut these pieces to, I think, 5.5 by 5.5, and that frame is 5 by 5, so I had to cut off basically where I had the serged material. I just cut it off to be able to fit in the frame. So I'll just do that every month as I get to it. I'll cut off the serging and pop it in there. So that was May. Love the variegation in this house too. May and June have the same coloring. So those are pretty. I think those are my favorite coloring so far. So those are those. And while I was at it, I had somebody else ask me about those Joyful World Snowflower Diaries pieces. So I thought I would share those too, because I changed this out this morning as well for June. It's got a bear and the little bees in the beehive. I did all of these. These are from the Snowflower Diaries on her blog, and they're free. And they're called the Joyful World Sal. So she has some other posts that are newer than that, but if you scroll down, you can get to these. And they're still available. I used most of the called for colors. They're Gentle Arts colors. There's a few that she suggests DMC, and I did a few more DMC than she suggested, just because they weren't in that many of them, and I didn't want to buy all the colors. So I did mostly Gentle Arts called for colors, but a few substitutions. So here are the rest of those that I did. These are also on 28 count Monaco, but this is tea-dyed Monaco, and I believe it was at Hobby Lobby, but they don't sell it there anymore, so sorry about that. I was able to get one large piece And it was like a fat quarter maybe, and I chopped it all up into 12 pieces, and they fit exactly. This is a 5x7 frame, 3.5 by 5 inch mat, and I just pop them in there like a picture on both of those. So that's really fun. Here's July. I love this one. It's so colorful. And August. This one has lazy daisies in it. Most of them do not have specialty stitches, but this one had lazy daisies, and I love how it turned out. I didn't have the no, maybe I did. I think the lazy daisies I used a variety of DMCs instead of the called for, but I could be wrong about that. Here's September. Not my favorite color scheme, and this is my birthday month, so it's a little disappointing, but they're still cute. And October, that one's nice. Cute little hedgehog. And November, my mom loves blue, and this is her birthday month, so that's really fun for her to see that one. Here's December, slightly Christmassy. And January, it's the first one I did. Oh, this one has eyelets at the bottom in the grass. And since I'm doing mine 1/1, I had to adjust them a little bit to have a few less legs than if you were doing it 2/2. So they're a little bit smaller. And here's February. And March. It's so cute. I love these. These were adorable. April. This purple, these were DMC substitutions, and they called for one purple, I believe, and I picked some of the two colors that were close to the color, the recommended color, and I did one in the big flowers and one in the little flowers, so I thought that was a good compromise. And May, which is the one I just took out today. So you saw this behind me recently, the little kitties. So those are adorable, and they are still available on her blog as a free downloads. They're like JPEG files that you can download. Very cute. So, oh yeah, my temperature pieces, I got behind again because I've had Etsy orders, cross-stitching and pattern making, and as well as the end of the year school stuff, so temperature stuff got, back burner again. So here's my quilt. I did get a little bit more caught up yesterday, but not 100%. So this is where that looked like last time. And here it is now. I got a little bit down to the bottom of May, but there's still some holes for the low temperatures. And I started to fill in. I did the sashing down to the bottom and then started to fill in the block down there. But that's still on my needle part. So there's that. I could do June 1st today. I think today's a balloon day though. And I'm pretty far behind on my balloon. I honestly, I needed to check my video and I didn't. I don't know if I stitched on my balloons at all this week. I may have done one day. So we'll see if there's anything on the before picture or any difference. Let's see. Here's my temperature balloons. Working on the very end of May on this one. I may have done one day on this, but it's pretty far behind. So this is what that looked like before. And here it is now. And yeah, I think I did do these two on one day. So I can finish this balloon and work on the basket now and start another one. So we'll see if I get any time to work on that today. I'm really enjoying this one. It's a really happy piece. So very nice. So those were all my travel and daily things that I was working on. So going forward, I already showed you High Hopes that I'm going to work on starting today. And I'm going to give this 4 days. Put some things away. Oh, that's that one. Okay. So I've already showed you this. This is High Hopes by Jess Nan. It's a cute little kitty watching the garden and all the birds and flowers and bees and very fun things. And I thought this was cute. I started this for my New Year's Eve new start, since I couldn't have a New Year's Day new start, because this is 2019. I've chosen to have no new starts. And I showed you this last time, but I'll show it to you again in case you didn't see the last video. This is my start. That's all I managed to do on New Year's Eve, December 31st. So I will give this 4 days, so hopefully I'll get a significant chunk done, something that will resemble the pattern. So it'll look a little bit more than just a green blob. So that's the plan. And it's fairly small. It's 81 by 81, but there is a lot of color changes. So we'll see what I'm able to do with that. I don't really know which direction I'm going. The green blob I have is just right in here somewhere. So we'll see. The fence is stitched with pearl cotton, so that could be fun to try. I keep glaring you, I'm sorry. It also could be fun to like work up to the birdhouse. That could be a nice thing to do. So maybe I'll hop over, do the fence, and work up to the birdhouse. Maybe I'll do that. And then I could do one of these birds, you know, and work on some border. Because I do like working from the top down. That might actually be a nice path to take. That could get me to the top pretty quickly, is to go up that birdhouse. So that might be what we do. So I'll work on that for 4 days. So I'm looking forward to that. This is charted for DMC. So it's nice and easy. I have all the colors. And then my next piece that I picked that has been calling to me for a while is Minnie Princess of the Sea by Dona Gelsinger and Heaven and Earth Designs. And I have a bigger printout that I did that's the mock-up. Just show you. There we go. So this is what she will look like. And this is the mock-up that they had on their website of the actual stitched piece. So she'll look amazing even though she's a mini. As soon as this was released, I was like, oh, my daughter would love that. I mean, even if I keep it, it would remind me of her because she loves the ocean and snow. She likes all sorts of things. Mermaids, but it's a really sweet little girl mermaid, and she's blonde, so it just reminded me of my daughter. But I didn't like the thought of doing another ginormous Haid, and so when they finally came out with the mini, I kept waiting for a mini, and they finally did. A few months later, I was like, yay! So I got it, snatched it up right away. And I started this last year? 2 years? I think it was just last year. This is done on the Dove Gray Monaco as well, that I'm doing that I did these on. So I love to do my full coverage pieces on 28 count Monaco. It's probably my favorite full coverage fabric. And this is where this is now. I have the first column of the first page done, and I work kind of out. I'm not parking on this one so far. I've just been stitching the color down the column and then over where, you know, sometimes since I do half stitches, I believe, yeah, these are half stitches, I'll like go down and then back up. Or I'll go down and park it or cut it and then come down here too. But I think, so I'll give this another 4 days too. So this will be Friday through Monday. So I'll probably still be working on this if I film on Monday next week. So we'll see how that goes. I joined the Full Coverage Fanatics challenge for July, which goes along with the Tour de France, and I don't really care about that like event in and of itself, but the challenge seemed kind of interesting in that it is a counting stitches challenge, but the amounts per day were pretty small, and they had options to do all of the days where you're stitching the same amount of stitches that they stitch, that they ride in kilometers, I think it is. And so you could choose to do all of the legs of the race, or you could choose just the flat sprinting legs or just the hills. And so there were 3 different options, and I chose the sprinting legs because it seemed to have the fewest days. I believe there were only 10 days throughout the event that you would have, that the bikers were doing sprinting legs. And then there was the fewest number of stitches. So start baby steps. I normally don't like counting my stitches, and I think because what I've done in the past is I've highlighted as I go, and then at the end I go back and tally. So I think I'm going to try tallying as I go and see if I like that any better. And I'm considering using the Princess of the Sea in that challenge because it's in the sky, and so there would be a lot of larger blocks of color, so potentially it would be a little easier. It is a half stitch project, so I would have to do double the amount for whatever was required. The other thing I thought of since I signed up was maybe doing my ants piece, Quick Stitch Iris. And do I have that here? Yeah, this one. I might do this one. This is a full cross on 25 count, so that would be the exact number of stitches needed, not double like the Princess of the Sea, and it's for somebody, so it might be nice to do a few extra stitches on that throughout July. So we'll see. I haven't 100% decided what I'm going to work on yet, but I think something that I work in columns. This I'm working in diagonal columns, and I'll bring this out next week, so you'll see this. I'll bring out the actual stitching next week, because I'll work on it for 2 days next week. But something I work in columns will be easier to count, I think, than something I do cross-country. So we'll see. Still thinking about that one, but I decided to go ahead and just do it, and if I can't do it, that's okay. But we'll see. It seemed a lot more reasonable than the other, just counting like 1,200 stitches for the month, and this I think would be even more than that. I think it's like 1,500 something when it's all said and done. But I think because it was broken up in tiny little chunks, I think that's what made it more palatable. So like some days it was like 27 stitches, some days it's 152, you know, like it was very different in a variety. So I thought that was worth a try. So if you're interested in that, go over to Full Coverage Fanatics and stitch along with us. And I think that's all I have to show you. I always gotta check. So I think that's everything. I hope you have a wonderful week and enjoy whatever you're doing for June. I will continue to work on lots of other things besides stitching, so hopefully I'll still get time to work on these things. And come back again next week, Lord willing, and happy stitching. Bye.